Hello and welcome back to Hollowponds Solo Sagas. It's my birthday week. It will be Saturday. I've been age +1 for 4 or 5 days by this point, as far as you're concerned. It's all cool, isn't it? Right, what are we doing today? Yeah, Electric State. So, welcome back to the Electric State. This will be our second episode. I will introduce to you during this episode the other two members of the Journey party, who is Molly and Don. We rolled Kurt last week, who is our beat poet artist. It is 1997. Poetry and beat poetry isn't massive, but it was coming out of the 80s and poets were a thing during the late 80s, early 90s. There was, what's his face? Dave Lister, who is, of course, I can't remember the actor's name, saved my life. Dave Lister, I only know him as Dave Lister. It's just got him in my head as Dave Lister. But he started life, oh God, someone put down in the comments what his name is. I can't remember and I'm not gonna cut to go and find out his name. He started life as a poet, as a doing comedy poet, basically, doing poetry on stage. That's how he started his life. And so it was a thing, but Kurt is a poet and Kurt wants to perform in Los Angeles and along the western coast, up into San Francisco to a bar called The Saloon, which last week I Googled where the saloon was, and this week Google asked me, did I enjoy my trip to the saloon? I would love to go there. Not that I'm into jazz in any way, shape or form, but I'd love to go to San Francisco. Anyway, I digress. So I will introduce you to those, but before I do that, thank you very much for returning to my subscribers. If you're not yet a subscriber, do consider subscribing to listen to my wittering. Apparently solo role players wittering is a popular thing, so who knew? There is one, Hans solo player, as I like to call them, the ones who don't show their faces, who, man alive, he witters for hours, but he's very entertaining. Anyway, yes, and thank you very much to the Adventurers Guild for all of your support. Really awesome thanks for you and your support. If you'd also like to join the Adventurers Guild, you get there's additional videos, that's the word, that is available to you. There will be various other things. I think some of my more longer ones that I have to cut to hell, I'll make the full versions available in time to the members in secret member areas. There's also a newsletter that you can sign up for where I will send you every week an email, probably on a Saturday, my Saturday, where I will tell a short story and witter and give you my thoughts on things and possibly a photo of a little dog that I've painted. All of those things can be yours just for clicking buttons or typing your name into places. But anyway, I digress. The collective. We have Kurt, who we rolled together. Kurt is not very strong or agile, but has reasonably high wits and empathy, thus has quite a high hope, wants to be acknowledged, has puts on a show to hide their fears, is a charmer, has a goal to perform at the Saloon, which is a bar in North Beach in San Francisco. I've put here, doesn't actually have a gig there, lied. Their threat is they stole a lot of their material. In rolling the other characters, I've also expanded upon Kurt a bit. Kurt's 39. Kurt was a teacher at Molly's school. Kurt's sister died during the war, the Civil War, and Kurt receives a small amount of money from the government for her sister dying. I asked GPT and apparently that is a thing, but it would be difficult to get hold of. Kurt is the only one of the team who has a jury caster. The reason he has a neurocaster is he has to go online to collect the stipend, to collect the money. So as I said, he used to teach English and now he's leaving to go investigate the world. He would eat at the Mad Greek restaurant, as we discussed. Molly, who is 17, he's basically is at an age where she had probably left school last year, so doesn't go to school anymore, but Kurt would know Molly. Molly's favourite song is Just a Girl by No Doubt. Now, I rolled for Molly the 4d6 as you're supposed to. I rolled 3 6s and a 1. You then supposed to re-roll any ones. I re-rolled the 1 and it came up a 6. Molly has 4 6s for her stats. Top. This is why Molly wants to run away. Molly is basically a genius. Molly is wasted in if you come from Baker and outside the Mojave Desert, I do apologise. I'm not inferring it's not a very good place, but probably Molly could be doing better than working at the Mad Greek Cafe in Baker instead of being out in the world and so Molly wants more than this. Molly has the Dreamer as her talent, which means she has +2 hope, which means Molly has 8 hope. Molly has 6 health. Her dream is finding a new home, so somewhere else to live that she can expand her horizons. Her flaw is when she's threatened, she runs away. Her goal is to see the Golden Gate Bridge and expand her horizons. She wants to go on a journey because she wants to see what's over the hill. The world is bigger than this, and she knows it in her heart and her gut. She knows the world is big and exciting and new, and she wants to see it. She just knows there's so much that she doesn't know and wants to know it. But her threat is her dad is going to come and get her. So when her dad works out she's gone, her dad is going to remember what Kurt has said about going and doing the travel. He's going to know that she's gone with him, and he's going to come and bring her back. So her threat is he is going to come and bring her back. She doesn't have a Neurocaster, but she does have a Walkman. She has $50. Tension, Kurt has 1 tension with Don, 0 tension with Molly. And the reason for the tension is Kurt's sister died in the war. We discussed that. Molly has a 1 tension with Kurt, 0 tension with... She would know Don from being in town, but she doesn't really know Don. But she knows Kurt and she really likes Kurt. And there's a potential that there could be something there. But she's 17, Kurt's 39. Kurt doesn't look at her that way. She is... Kurt, as far as she feels, Kurt has seen the world, but she doesn't realise that Kurt is quite closed and that Molly has way more potential than Kurt does. Finally, we have Don. Don's 29. Don was very young. So Don was 17 when Don fought in the Civil War, because the Civil War was about 12 years ago, at the mid to end of the 80s, or was it 70s? Whatever it was about 12 years ago. Don's stats are 5 and 5 for strength and agility, 3 and 3 for wits and empathy. So that means Don has a low hope. Don's hope is 3. So Don has not much hope because Don is a veteran, so Don has given up hope. But Don's strength is high. Don was a machine gunner during the Civil War, so Don has the talent machine gunner, which gives a +2 dice roll when going full auto. Don's dream is to leave the war behind. Just leave that behind, which is why Don wants to go surfing and recapture that part of Don's youth that Don remembers, the last time Don remembers properly being happy. Don's flaw is Don will react with violence. He doesn't like it about himself. He doesn't want to be that person anymore, but often things just trigger and Don just flips into violence because Don has a low empathy and low wits. Don has no caster either, but Don does have a broken surfboard and hardly any money. Don's goal is to surf the coast. Don's threat is Don is dying. None of the rest of the travellers know, but Don is dying. Don was poisoned during the war. Don is in his late 20s. Don's 29, and Don knows that he has a year left to live. Don's dying and just wants to surf and reclaim his youth, reclaim that part of him that he remembers being before the poison, and get back to that. So Don's threat is that Don could die during this journey. Don has a tension with Molly because Don likes Molly. Don remembers being 17. Don remembers being innocent, and Don remembers before the war. Don has no tension with Kurt. Don doesn't mind Kurt. Kurt doesn't like Don. So those are our journeys, our journeymen. Those are our questers. Those are our travellers. Our travellers. Those are our travellers. Now, what they are travelling in is they're travelling in Kurt's 1992 Honda Accord. It can passenger 4. It has +2 manoeuvrability. It's fast. It's quite a fast Honda Accord because I rolled its individual stat and it's got a speed of 4. We also then have some equipment that is sort of shared between everyone. That so happened to be a +2 handgun, a tent, and a book of poetry, which gives you a +2 wits roll when you read from the book of poetry. So that would give Kurt a chance to do that. Now, these are our journey. These are our travellers. Our travellers. I call them our travellers. And so how we now need to try doing, which I've sort of looked at, but I haven't actually attempted yet, which is the solo process. So we have our solo process of how to do our solo travel. The solo mechanic is based around a deck of cards removing the jokers. Now, after this shuffle that you can see me doing now, I am not going to shuffle again until we have cleared the deck. So we will take whatever is pulled and that goes aside, because part of what happens is we have a potential clock of our individual people's threats and our countdown clocks for our stops, which might have things that will happen and trigger. Now, to make sure that those clocks happen, we will be turning over cards, and at certain things that you turn over, certain things trigger. So if we turn over a face card, which is a spade, a club, or basically a face card, if it's a spade, the personal threat for the traveller that we are focusing on, because each scene will try and focus on one of the travellers, will trigger. If it's a club, then the stop where they are, its threat will trigger. If it's a hearts, then there's an event, a special traveller event. If it's a diamonds, then some form of conversation will trigger, and there are separate things to turn as well. Now, within each of those possible things, there are other things that can be turned over and cards can turn, but any of those cards will trigger, say, a minor encounter plus one of those things if it's a face card. And it all is based around the deck of cards. So we will have to split our deck in between sessions, keep the decks that's consumed separate to the deck which is still to come, and make sure they don't get mixed up, otherwise our clocks won't go right properly. So our original trip is we are travelling from, I'll show the map, we are travelling from Baker down towards Los Angeles. Now, the aim of going to Los Angeles is twofold. In Los Angeles, we want to visit TJ's surfboard repairs to get Don's surfboard repaired, plus we want Kurt to perform somewhere. Kurt hasn't got a gig, but Kurt's going to try and find a gig. So we will need to generate that stop. Now, to generate the stop, we roll on some tables within a certain part of the book, which would not necessarily be for solo play. That is for a DM, a GM to a DM. This is not a dungeon. Although it is like dungeon. This is very dungeony because it is single path. It's not so much spread all over the place. It's a dungeon that needs to be explored. So in that guide that I did on Good Solo Games, this is equivalent of, it's like a dungeon. So we would then generate that. Now, before we get there, we need to travel between Baker and Los Angeles. So in our film, in our road trip film, which is what we're making now, we would have a scene where we are driving along these roads, along that road that I've marked on the map, which I'll show, towards Los Angeles to go to TJ's in the first instance, and then that night we'll then find somewhere to stay. Maybe we'll end up sleeping in the car. We don't know. We'll roll the stop and then we'll find out. Don and Molly think Kurt has a plan. Kurt has no plan. The only plan Kurt has is to basically travel between Baker and San Francisco on the route that you've just seen and get there and perform at the salon. He doesn't, the saloon, he doesn't know how he's going to get that gig yet. He hasn't told anyone. So we will have a minor encounter between Baker and Los Angeles, and then we will roll Los Angeles. So we have a table to pull on. We pull over a card. We then look at the number of the card. So it's a clubs. It's not a face card, so it doesn't trigger the events, but it is a 3, and a 3 is roadworks, page 162. So we will go to page 162 and we will roll roadworks and see what that is going to do and whether is a thing. The roadworks. The road ahead is blocked by construction. A crew with a large truck and blinking yellow warning lights seems to be laying new tarmac. But as the travellers draw closer, they see that no work is being done. The crew all have Neurocaster helmets on and are all lost in some neuronic daydream. One is standing in the middle of the road, another just sitting on the ground, and a third lying flat on his back. All are unresponsive. It goes, if the travellers forcibly remove the Neurocaster from the worker, he flies into a rage and attacks in close combat, fighting until incapacitated. To continue, the travellers need to climb into the truck and drive it aside or past the very narrow patch of road next to it, a stunt requiring an agility roll. Page 103, an agility roll, page 103. Okay, all right, cool. This is very, okay. This is very iconic for the setting. Pio mentioned on the first one not quite being able to get into settings. So I think I would say in response to that, it's very hard in just reading the book and looking at it to understand it. But when you roll something like that, it starts to make a feeling. So the Accord is travelling down the highway. We're making good time. We reach, let's see, where shall we reach? So we're travelling down. I'll show you the map. We're probably, let's make this past Barslow. So we're approaching Bell Mountain. We're just about to, were we coming around to this way or are we going around that way? I think we're going around that way. So we've just passed Barslow and we're travelling down Edgewood towards Boron. No, we're going down Bell Mountain. We must do because we're going into Long Beach. Because around Long Beach is where TJ's is. So we're travelling down Route 15, probably down Route 15, and that's where it's quiet, and then we can see the signs and the flashing beacons and the barriers on the side of the road telling us to slow down, and then we approach, and then we can see that there's this massive truck has blocked the highway. And there's no other cars around because not that many people are travelling anymore in this day and age. Everyone's in. Oh look, there's a picture here. Can you see that? There's our road worker. There's our blockage on the road. So obviously even these events are triggered by the art of Simon. What do we do? Kurt would be driving during this stint because it's Kurt's car. There's ability that Kurt might be able to drive around the edge. So Kurt in the first instance is going to try driving around the edge and we'll see if he can do it or not. We do have a manoeuvrability of 2 for our car. Okay, if we fail, we have an accident. All right, so Kurt's going to go. Kurt will say, "This is just a thing of the age. This is what I was telling you about, Molly. This is why you not having a Neurocaster is a great idea." Don will go, "I don't have one as well, but Molly, the reason is that you don't want to get tied up like this. You need to be tied to reality." As he attempts to maneuver the car around, he has an agility of 5, and the car, movement. So that car would be these dice. So if we roll negative on these for pushing, then the car will take damage. So we have a gear dice and we have our agility dice, and Kurt is going to talk as he's attempting to drive around the obstruction. So we're looking for 6s and we get none. Okay, we get no 6s. So we can have Kurt attempt to push. Now pushing might cause damage to the car, but it also might cause him to lose hope as he's attempting to push through. And if it fails, or we could have them attempt to try and take their Neurocaster top heads off, as in to get them to move it themselves, which Don might do. So if Kurt fails this and the vehicle, so Kurt has to push anyway, otherwise they're going to have an accident. If Kurt doesn't push, they have an accident. So Kurt's going to push. Kurt will push this. We have no 1s, so Kurt doesn't lose hope. We have no 1s on the gear dice, so the car doesn't get injured, but we have no 6s, so Kurt doesn't pass. So Kurt fails, which means they do have an accident because there is no success. So we will now go on to page, so we haven't even started the journey yet. So we have a road accident, which is a D6. A 4. If you fail an agility roll to control your vehicle, you suffer an accident. A 4. Collision. The vehicle crashes into something solid and suffers damage equal to its own speed rating. It's speed, but it's not travelling at speed. So we will say that it is going to take damage of 1 as it bumps into the truck. Kurt tries coming off the edge to go around, trying to clear the edge, gets caught underneath the edge of the vehicle, and it bumps into the obstruction, the big construction vehicle. Don is getting a bit annoyed by this, so Don is getting a bit annoyed. So we've got our stop. We've not got a stop. Sorry, solo. So there's 3 guys, and they're standing there. All right. So Don's going to say, "I'll drive the thing out the way." So Don's going to go around. Now we've got these people. Now the key will be in the vehicle. Okay, well let's see. Is the key in the vehicle? I think this would be a tilt. So a tilt is the key in the vehicle? A tilt is a yes or a no. Clubs and spades are bad for the traveller. The keys aren't in the vehicle. Hearts and diamonds are good. They are in the vehicle. And then we have a low or extreme rating, which is based on the card. So we have diamonds, which is good. So the keys are in the vehicle, and a 9 is a medium to high. And so the vehicle will start. So as Don gets into the truck, he doesn't really know how he's done this because he's not driven one of these before. Possibly we'll give him a chance. He's got an agility of 5. We are going to say the truck has no gear dice because he's not trained in doing this. So he just has his agility of 5, no gear dice. All he needs to do is get 1 hit. He's got a hope of 3, so it's not looking good. 1 hit to get it moving, otherwise he's going to get angry. Oh, 2 hits. Okay, so he gets 2 hits. He's able to rev it up, and it drives it forwards, bumping it off the road and coming into the side, stopping just in time. Now they're going to need to do a strength roll between them. So all 3 of them, including Molly, is going to get out. So now we're going to focus on Don for this. Though we were focusing on Kurt, Don is going to take charge, and Don will be our primary traveller for this thing, which means our next scene, which would be Kurt, will have our primary traveller. So Don is going to get out, and Don's basically going to say, okay, let's get Kurt's car out of the ditch, bump it back up onto the road, and then we can get on our way. And Molly's thinking about the people, but she's not going to say much because she's a background character for this scene, about taking their headsets off. And Don is just going to try moving them forwards. But they're going to, do they need, no, they're not criminals. None of them are criminals, so none of them are going to steal from these. I was just thinking maybe they could get money. So we will have, I think we can have assistance. We will give 1 assistance. Don has a strength of 5 and people helping. So Kurt is in the car, and Molly, who's strong. Molly is strong. Molly's got a 6 for strength. Molly is, what were they called? Renaissance. Molly's a Renaissance team. Molly can box, run, jump, think, read, the lot, and empathise. So 6 dice as Molly assists Don, and Don's going, come on, just put your back in, you can do it. What do we got? We have 1 6. No ones. So 1 6 means that they bump the car back up onto the road. It's still sort of daylight because they set off in the morning. The roads come up. This is the first encounter that they've seen with people outside of Baker for ages, and they continue on their way. So this is our first sort of stop, our first scene. They continue on their way to Los Angeles. LA, stop 1. So let's roll our stop. So first off, we go through and we will say what about our stop. So we don't need to have terrain because we know it is a town, or it's bigger than a town. The population is dense. Communication. So we've got dead end, no stationary, Neurocasters, main hub, several main roads, a harbour, airport. So it's main hub. It's Los Angeles. Size is very large. Prosperity. Oh, okay. I don't know what sort of prosperity this area of Los Angeles would be. We're going to randomly roll this. This is from impoverished to rich. 1. It's important. So this is a poor area. So the area around TJ's surf repair, which is actually just outside the international airport now. So the area where they're going to be is going to be a poor area. It's impoverished. Now, the owner of TJ's, TJ, is going to be, or whoever runs TJ's now, it knows Don from the war, which is why Don wants to go there. Now, what is the weather like right at this moment? 3, it's windy. So as the wind blows, they bring the car through the city. Everything is looking electric state elements. Roll D66. Reds, 24, abandoned roadworks. So again, we're seeing more that the streets of LA are in bad disrepair. There are potholes all over the place. As the car bumps and rolls, let's make our Kurt make another roll. As Kurt is going to take over, Kurt is going to be asked to make a roll for maneuvering through potholes, or the car takes another point's damage. He gets a success. So Kurt successfully maneuvers around the several potholes that are current Los Angeles streets as we try to get towards the section of town around, I think it's Long Beach. I think it's around Long Beach. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's either Long Beach or it's up near Inglewood. I don't have that actually marked. I should have come better equipped. And the streets, so let's say it's up near Inglewood. A quiet run down. Now we've got 1990s nostalgia. We'll roll on that table. 13. Okay, they're passed by a brown Dodge Caravan. So actually, no, let's have a brown Dodge Caravan. He's parked outside TJ's as they pull up at TJ's. So this is the setting. We need a few places in this setting, and then we'll roll the blocker and see what the conflict is. So what we've got as our stop is we're going to have TJ's repair shop, and we will have 2 bars or clubs. 2 bars that Kurt knows about, which means that we might have people at those places that we can then talk to and associate with. Now, what is the blocker that is going to cause problems? So we'll roll the blocker from those tables and then the threat from the solo tables. So what is the blocker, which we have a D66. Now there's a blocker causing a problem in this area of Los Angeles, which is stopping it being easy for us to just, otherwise it would just be go get it repaired, go get a gig and go home, as it were. 46. Gunfire against the vehicle. Okay, so we've got gunfire against vehicle is what it says the blocker is. So someone is shooting at the vehicle, and then we can let's roll a needs. We might not need this one, but there's a table here called needs. 1, food, water. Okay, so and we need, but actually we need food, water, shelter if we're going to stay here the night, because to fix the board it'll take at least a day, and then if we're doing a performance overnight, because we need to spend a night, we have to spend 24 hours here because we're going to need it repaired. We need that. So a blocker is that someone at some point is going to be, there's aggression, there's gang activity in the area. So maybe TJ's has got threatened by gangs, which is going to mean that we can't get the surfboard repaired unless we deal with that, or maybe some of those clubs are going to have the problems. So then we now can go back to the solo guide, and then we've got the threats. So we can roll a d6 on threats and see what comes up as these threats, although it's probably violent threat. And there's even an option under the subtable for violent threat called gang. So what's 4 comes up as environmental threat. We're going to pick violent threat, and from violent threat, we're going to say that our threat is gang activity. So we've approached this stop. So our countdown threat for our stop involves gang activity, and each time we would turn a countdown threat clock card, we would then roll on the stop threat countdown table and see how that changes. So let's go back to our stops table, or threats. Let's look at our threats. Gang members. Okay, all right. Example countdown for gang threats. Someone asks travelers to rescue someone kidnapped by the gang. The gang kills someone or burns something. The gang throws a party. The gang... All right, okay. So there is gang activity. There is a... Okay, all right. I get it. I think I get it. So what we have is either in TJ's or one of these places that Kurt could potentially perform in. So there is an area. So there's a small. So the area surrounding TJ's, there's at least 2 bars. So first off, we're going to go to TJ's. So we're going to go into TJ's and we will see. Well, let's go back to our solo page. We are going to go to TJ's. Now, our question now is there, so we're rolling for our tilt, which is our question. I believe this is for each scene. So our scene is going into, so the scene is going to be, we're going into TJ's. Don is bringing the surfboard in. I think we'll have Molly. Molly is going to be our key person here. Don isn't too sure. Don's a bit nervous about approaching because Don hasn't been here for a bit. We are going to have Molly's going to come in as our primary here because Molly's never been to a place like this before. So although Don is going to be going and speaking to TJ, Molly is going to be the person that we're going to focus on. We're focusing on Molly walking around this surf shop. It's looking quite old, very run down. There's dust on everything, so we're seeing her run her finger across things. There's pictures on the wall of surf and people surfing and various things going on. And we're going to see Molly moving around, examining the room. Now, is the outcome of this scene good for them or not? So we're rolling on a tilt. So it's bad and it's a low bad. So TJ isn't around at the moment. And the person who works here doesn't know when TJ is coming back. Now, that next question is, so Don's quite disappointed because TJ's not here, and Don was looking forward to reconnecting with TJ and reliving old times, and TJ's not here anymore. So the next question is, because we've got the whole thing about the poison, and Don has the poison, did TJ have the poison? I mean, we're going to turn over a lot of these cards because I'm going to ask questions. Did TJ have the poison, and is TJ dead? So if it's a black card, TJ died. If it's a red card, TJ is alive and just somewhere else. So it's a low red card, so TJ is somewhere else, but it's low, so we don't know where. So TJ is still alive. TJ alive, don't know when he's coming back. So Don doesn't get to relive his past. So the next question is, can Don get his surfboard fixed? Or are they going to need to get money to, because if TJ was here, he'd have done it for nothing. But are they going to charge him? Are they going to charge Don, which means that we're going to need to probably spend all the money we've got, or we're going to try and need to see if we can get Kurt to do some of his charming and charm them into to doing this for us for cheap. Okay, so we have to pay. So we're going to have to pay. So that means Kurt will step up and stand with Don. So Kurt doesn't like Don though. So Don is going to turn to Kurt and try and get Kurt to help, which is an empathy roll. So Don is going to go roll 3 dice to try and get Kurt to do this for him. Now, one of the ways to get hope back, I believe it's to get hope back, is to resolve an issue that builds up. Now, this might cause some tension between Don and Kurt, because Kurt will not want to do this, because Kurt doesn't particularly like Don. So Don is going to roll 3 dice. Don doesn't get a +1 to this. Don gets no hits. Kurt is going to roll 6 dice for his empathy. He gets +2. No, he gets +1 to this. We'll use this one. This is in attempting to say no to yeah. So Kurt says no to Don. No, I'm not. I don't want anything to do with this. I'm going to sit outside in the car. There's some dodgy people around here. I'm sitting in the car. I don't want anything to do with this. That is going to cause a bit of tension between Don and Kurt on Don's side, because Don feels let down by Kurt. Molly, on the other hand, Molly doesn't have to be convinced. Molly will do. Molly is going to try and convince Kurt, just to build up the tension a bit. Molly's going to try and convince Kurt that Kurt should really help. So before Kurt leaves the room, Kurt doesn't want to do it. Kurt gets 2 hits, and Molly also has 6 and a +1 because of the tension. So Kurt got 2 hits. Molly only gets 1 hit. So Kurt is getting a bit peeved by Molly sticking her nose in. So there's a 1 tension building up there. So Kurt is a bit annoyed that Molly got involved, and Kurt goes outside in a huff, closes the door, slams the door. I don't think that would. So Molly doesn't. I don't think that's going to adjust Molly's feelings about Kurt. But Molly will then step forward and see if Molly, as a 17-year-old, can try and convince the person behind the counter that Don knows TJ, that Molly is going to offer her 50 and Don's 90, everything they've got to get the board fixed by tomorrow, which is all of their money. But she's going to step forward because she's got lots of hope. She's a dreamer. She's sure that it'll work. She's got 6 dice and we'll throw in 1, which is Don helping. She gets 2 hits, which I think is a success, and then a thing which will be, he'll say, look, I'll do it for 100. So Don will pay all of his money. Molly only pays 10 of hers, leaving Molly with 40. And so the guy looks, look, okay. All right, so Molly tells the story about Don's past, about how they used to hang out. He and TJ used to hang out when they were younger, about the surfing, and all he wants to do is start surfing, but the board's broken. And Don, after hearing this, is going to have a little tear in his eye. And the guy behind the counter is going, look, all right, fair enough. Come back tomorrow and we'll see what we can do and see if it's fixed or not. So they can go off. They go back outside. So the board will be fixed tomorrow. That's where they'll go outside and say, okay, so where are we staying, Kurt? And Kurt will go, well, you've given him all of the money you've got. And they're going to go, yeah. So Kurt's a little bit put out by this. Let's flip a card to see what happens. Oh, a face card, club. That might be, if that's the stop, that is perfect timing. So we've got, what's that? That's clubs, isn't it? Stop countdown event. So our stop countdown event. All right, so Kurt's going to say, I know there's this place that I'm pretty sure that I can get a gig at. And they're going to say, pretty sure, yeah, and we should be able to stay there. Because I used to know, I used to hang around a lot when I was younger. My sister and I would hang around with the guy who then opened the bar. Let's go see him. So they're going to go, so this is the countdown event, so 1, and we know it's a gang. So we'll get there, and let's see, what shall it be? So there's a lot of gang members there. So if there's a lot of gang members there, what can be? Let's go to our gang threat bit again. So there was the kidnap was one of the threats. Example countdown. The gang kills someone or burns something to the ground, either make it a matter to the travelers or offend their morality. Nice for NPCs, Sons of Pirates, ends in bloodbath. Alright, so how about we will have... Okay, so this is what it's going to be, and we'll do this. So, Kurt is going to go, so that's stop. So that triggers the stop. So we will have... Oh, why don't we just have it that... So they've gone to the bar, it's in the middle of the day. They go to the bar. Oh, we'll do it like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where those 2 brothers hold the people in the bar hostage. So our travellers have gone off across to the bar. Let's find a bar near TJ's. So we're going to call it, so I don't know whether it's anywhere nearby, but we can transpose it. It is the Stowaway, which is in downtown LA. It says it's a basement bar offering nightly live jazz in a cozy candlelit setting. Not during this time. Okay, it's a Stowaway. They go to the Stowaway, and as they're down there, it's during the day, so it's still open, it's a bit quiet. He goes down, and so we've got Kurt is the focus of this. Kurt is going and talking to the guy. Let's see if Kurt can get a job. They can then say yes or no. So Kurt is going to try and charm his way into... so he also gets 2 dice because he's trying to charm an NPC. He goes down. We'll roll the NPC afterwards because we're going to have at least 2 NPCs here. We'll have 2 NPCs here who both are looking a bit worried. We'll have an owner who's an older man that Kurt knows, and we'll have one bar staff waitress, because that will create a dynamic when the gang comes in a minute and attempts to extort money from them. So Kurt's going to try and get a job performing poetry tonight. 2 hits. Okay, so he gets 2 hits. So not only does he get tonight, the guy is willing to let them sleep upstairs or in the bar. It's not normal, but he relives his old times with Kurt. Kurt's very charming, and the guy gives him it, so he gets a gig. He can earn a D6 times $100 for the gig, and they can sleep here. But just as they're finishing up, Molly is drinking some tap water, Don is having a beer. They are all sort of like happy that Kurt has got his performance, and that's where 6 gang members come in and begin to push around the owner, causing trouble and asking for money. They threaten to smash the place up and close it tonight. We are going to turn a card at this point to see if there's any further complications. So let's say we'll do this as a tilt question, and because it might trigger one of the events as well. But the tilt is going to say do they take offence to? So Don might automatically react badly. We'll roll NPCs for them. So I'm not planning on resolving this today because we've probably got time-wise. So this is a tilt to see, do they take offence instantly to the 3 of them, or do they ignore the 3 of them? So they take offence, low-level offence. So maybe Kurt tries to make a joke, because we're focusing on Kurt this one, and fails. So we are going to end this on the gang member taking a swing at Kurt, and then Don will probably step up to protect. So we'll have a threat. Part of our threats, we have gang members. Our gang member is going to make an attack against Kurt. Now let's double check. I think that would be a strength roll, which is a 3 against Kurt's agility. So basically what happens with close combat, the attacker makes an attack. The defender can choose to fight back or stand tall, which is the same as ducking or standing tall. If you fight back, it uses your action in your next turn, and you can defend yourself. If you stand tall, then you still have your action, but you'll get hit if they hit. So that would be, so we might actually have a fist fight kick off between there's a lot of them though. Did I say 6? I did say 6. Okay, so the gang member is going to attempt to hit Kurt because he takes just to basically prove a point. They are not going to, shall he use a baseball bat? All right, he's going to use a baseball bat. So he's coming with a bat. He's going to attempt to hit Kurt. He gets a +2 to his roll with the baseball bat. So he gets 3 dice for his strength and +2. Kurt, he will fight back. So the guy gets 1 hit. So the guy gets 1 hit on Kurt. Kurt is going to attempt to fight back. Kurt only has a 2 for his strength. He has no weapons. Kurt doesn't hit back, so the guy hits Kurt 1 hit, doing 1 point of health damage, a 3. Kurt fought back, so Kurt used his action in this turn. So our scene will end at the end of the scene. So they've just got there, everything's happy. The 6 gang members come down into the club. They begin to push over chairs, knock stuff about, go up to the owner, start talking to the owner, threatening the owner for money. Kurt steps in and tries to calm it down as one of the gang members steps forward, takes a swing and smacks Kurt in the stomach. Don, using his floor, we kick Don's floor into action, which is reacts with violence. We then possibly have Molly's floor, which is when threatened runs. Molly may run to the car and get the gun, but Don steps forward and pushes the guy, and then a fight kicks off. But as that fight kicks off, our episode closes and we will start next one with a fight. Thank you very much. That was, quickly getting to grips with that. That makes sense. We will make sure that we keep our used cards away from our unused cards. And we will come back to the Electric State next week and find out what happens in what was the bar called? The Stowaway. in Los Angeles as Kurt tries to get his gig and the surfboard tries to get fixed. Thank you very much. If you are a subscriber, thank you for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. It's just clicking the little thing. Thank you very much to the Adventurers Guild for all of your support. Thank you everybody for all your comments and all your support. And we will come back next week to see more of the Electric State. See ya.